Today, I'm going to be taking on one of my hardest ever rebuild challenges, and it might very well be impossible. The aim is to take a club from the 6th tier of English football, the lowest playable league in FM, and try and take them to Premier League glory with only 10 years to do so. But which club in the lowest playable division did I pick? Well, it had to be Dorking Wanderers. Founded in only 1999, the club has had a major rise, going from Sunday League to the Football League in pretty much no time at all in footballing terms. The owner of the club is also the manager, Mark White, and you might recognise him from social media, from the Bunch of Amateurs YouTube channel, and today we're going to step in and try and keep those Sunday League vibes going as we take the club all the way, hopefully, to Premier League glory. But 10 years really isn't a long time, especially when you look at where we are as a club. We've got a 1.5-star reputation, pretty poor facilities, and whilst we are expected to win the division this year, really to go from the 6th tier to Premier League title winners in 10 seasons is going to be nearly impossible. We're going to need promotion pretty much every year, or else we'll get to the Prem with no time really to be able to win it, so the pressure is on. But if any team can do it, I think Dorking will be able to, because if you look at their history, they have just been on an upward trajectory, getting better and better as the seasons have gone by, so we're going to hope to continue that, and actually, we've got some pretty good players for this level of football that we can build around. Charlie Carter is a fantastic midfield option for this level. Fan favourite Josh Taylor will run the centre of the pitch, and we'll be hoping star striker Alfie Rutherford can keep putting the ball in the back of the net. And those players are going to be big for us right now, but realistically, we're going to need a total overhaul pretty much every season if we're going to get to the Prem and win it. So our recruitment needs to be right, the tactic needs to be right, and we need to make sure we get everything going in the right direction. The only issue is we're going to need money to do that, and the club isn't exactly blessed. The budgets aren't terrible, but there's not really much to work with here. But I'm going to give it my best shot anyway. We'll see who we can sign and who we can sell in the first transfer window. Now, as this is going to be a longer rebuild, this will be split up into multiple episodes, so make sure you keep an eye out. Every few days we'll be dropping the next one. But if we want there to be a season 2, we've got to make sure we don't lose our job and we win the title as expected. Now, at this kind of level in the 6th tier of English football, I'm not exactly able to go out and sign Mbappe and Messi, but I have been able to do a bit of wheeling and dealing and bought in a few players for free that I think could help our team long term. One that we picked up for the future was a free agent that we found through trialling some players out by the name of Pat Gregory, a fullback with some potential, but realistically isn't going to be amazing right now for as I wouldn't have thought. One player that looks like he could do big things if he hits his potential though is Tyree Goodyear, who is a striker, 16 years of age, another free agent picked up through trials that I'm hoping maybe next season or the season after might break into the first team. But someone that I've bought in for the right now is Ruben Shackpoke, who is a 20-year-old striker, again picked up as a free agent having left Aston Villa and Norwich. He's obviously had a good academy career behind him. He might be a little bit injury prone, but actually I think for this level he could be a very good option, and the game thinks he could get way better than what we're seeing right now. And that was basically all we were able to do with our limited budgets. Obviously in our first few seasons it's going to be tough, it's going to be a struggle, but hopefully as the years go by we'll be able to bring in better players. Right now though, the only aim every season really is just to keep getting promoted as quickly as possible, so time doesn't run out on our 10-year challenge. And tactically, I'm trying something a little bit different. No 4-3-3, no 4-2-3-1 gegenpress. Instead, we are going for a 4-4-2 system, and it's one that I've never really tried before in terms of the roles that I'm using and whatnot, but we're going to give it a go anyway. I'll introduce you to a few key players right now that hopefully will be around for the long term. A lot of these guys, though, realistically, with only contracts at the end of this year, won't be here for too long, but Magnus Norman looks to be a goalkeeper we could keep for a while. He's considered a good player for this level. 23-year-old Scottish fullback Brennan Camp will hopefully be a mainstay of our first team for as long as we can have him, and then Bobby Joe Taylor is one of our best in that left fullback spot, and I'm already trying to renegotiate his contract to have him for another season. Dan Pybus is a player who was recently bought in by Dorking, formerly of Sunderland, and he is someone that I think will attract interest as time goes on, as he is way better than the level we're playing at currently in FM. And then James McShane as well is another one of those players that is on the older side, but for right now should be a very good option in our lineups. Now, as I've mentioned, we are predicted to go and win the league, and the board expect nothing less, so Mark White has stepped down from manager, and he is now the owner of the club, and he wants instant promotion. I think in real life the club finished near the top spots but didn't quite get promoted, but we're expected to go up at the first available opportunity, so we need to be on our A game to make sure that we don't lose our job and this impossible challenge doesn't fall at the first hurdle. And in our first season, we have already had a wild ride. It's never going to be a simple job managing a team at this kind of level, and there's been plenty of drama already, and we'll start with our FA Cup run. Now, we managed to make it through all the qualifying matches and actually got into the FA Cup proper, where we came up against Wrexham. Bunch of amateurs against a team that have their own Disney Plus show, and they went 1-0 up. But we were able to show some fight, and early on in the second half, we managed to actually pull a goal back as Bobby Joe Taylor scored a header. Wrexham, though, have real quality, and at our stadium, they were able to go 2-1 up late on through Paul Mullin. But we managed to secure a great result in the 90th minute. Alfie Rutherford with a brilliant strike to make it 2-2, and that earned us a replay, because in this world of FM there are still FA Cup replays, as we went to Wrexham's ground, where unfortunately we lost, but we did show we could mix it up with some teams way ahead of us in terms of the league standings. But still, when it came to the league table, it wasn't all smooth sailing. We started off slow with losses to the likes of Weymouth at home and Torquay away, but as time went on, we started to find our feet. We were learning the tactic, the players were learning to play well together, and before we knew it, we were in a full-blown title race, where on the last day of the season, we needed a win to decide who would be getting promoted to the 5th tier of English football. Our opponents on the day was Truro City. We were at their stadium, and if they lost, they'd be relegated, so there was huge stakes on this game, but we went 1-0 up. And at that point early on, we thought we might cruise to a victory until Truro scored a header, but we weren't going to let the title slip that easy, and my new signing Shaq Pope chipped the goalkeeper to make it 2-1, only for Truro to hit back in the 81st minute with the title now out of our hands. I said there'd be drama, and there was. In the 88th minute, the ball came in from a corner. Goodyear, our youngster, passed it across to McManus, who fired home, and that secured us a late win and secured the title for our Dorking team to make sure at the first time of asking, we got promoted as expected, and we can start moving towards, hopefully, trying to win the Prem. For right now, though, I think we just need to be very happy that we did win this title. We lost 9 games, we drew 9, and with 42 goal difference, we only just edged out Maidstone. They got 91 points and were the team that we were trying to beat on the last day of the season. Meanwhile, it was Worthing that actually got the promotion spot, going up through the playoffs, having beat Torquay United, so Maidstone do miss out, but we got exactly what we wanted. We hit that promotion, we go now to the 5th tier of English football, to the Vanarama National League, and we have some players that we can definitely build around, but also some problems coming up, because we had some really good performances from the likes of Tyreek Goodyear, who scored 15 goals and was our best performer at only the age of 16. Alfie Rutherford managed to score 17, whilst Matt Briggs, Bobby Joe Taylor, and James McShane, some of the favourites from the club, as well as Charlie Carter, all did very well for us. Josh Taylor and our new signing Ruben Shaq Pope was also exceptional with 12 goals himself, but the issue is, if we now go to our squad and look at contract expiry dates, all of these players from here downwards have their contracts potentially expiring, so we need to take a look at them, see how many we can keep on, if we even have the budgets to do so, and then it's going to need a rebuild in the 5th tier no matter what anyway, so we'll see who we can hang on to. We've got a decent budget to work with, but it's not exactly crazy. Either way though, I'm going to try and shift it to the wages and bring in as many free agents as we can. Now we're in the 5th tier, the competition is certainly going to ramp up, and we need to make sure we don't get relegated at the first opportunity. And we have had a major transfer window already here at Dorking, because most of them players that we saw earlier, their contracts ran out. I didn't think they were worth keeping for the money they were asking for, and it meant we needed a bunch of new blood coming into the team to make sure we're actually able to stay up in the 5th tier that we've tried to get promoted to. A relegation at this stage would completely throw off what we're trying to do, winning the Prem in 10 seasons. I'm delighted though with the players we've brought in. Before we see them though, if you're still watching to this point, either you like the video or you fell asleep, but if you are currently awake, if you could hit the like button for me, that would mean a lot, and subscribe to the channel as well so you don't miss the rest of this series, because I imagine it's going to get pretty intense as we get close to that 10-year mark. It'd be great to hear from you guys in the comments as well. If you want to get involved, let me know what you're thinking and what we should do with this team by the end of the video. I'd love to hear your thoughts of how we could improve the squad, but with that being said, let's see who we brought in and who I chose to improve the squad in Season 2. Firstly, I made full use of the loan market, bringing in 2 players from clubs much better than ours that hopefully can help us do really well in the 5th tier this year. We got on loan from Southampton Derek Abu, a Nigerian fullback whose contract will be expiring with them soon, formerly of Chelsea. Obviously, he's had very good pedigree. as you can tell here, as a Chelsea fan. So yeah, Derek Abu is someone that hopefully could go on to be a big player for us this season. And I've also bought in Michael Strickland from Reading. Our scouts recommended him very highly, and when he was available on a loan for a very minimal fee, I thought we had to get the job done. He's someone that's going to come in as one of our best players. He is coming in as our best centre-back already at the age of 21, and I'm hoping he's someone that can really do the business for us at the back this year. I needed a backup goalkeeper to go alongside the one we already had, so I've gone and signed Reece Bine on a free. This 22-year-old has formerly been at Leyton Orient and played last season at Torquay United and did pretty well, so he was good enough for the division below. Hopefully he'll be good enough to be a backup in this division. I then brought in a very exciting free agent by the name of Nico Valentine, a 20-year-old Jamaican who can play up front, on the wing, or anywhere really that we ask of him in those forward positions. He signs having been let go by Ipswich after a few loans out, where last season in the league below this, the National League North, he did pretty well for a youngster, so I feel like he's someone that could grow into something special, but I'm not expecting too much right now. But after a lot of the contract expiries, we were looking light at centre-back, so I was delighted to bring in this guy whose name I'm going to butcher, Kelleher. I don't even know how you pronounce that first name, but we're going to say Kelleher because I know how to say that one. A 29-year-old Irish centre-back who comes in as one of our best, signing from Colchester on a free. He is going to be one of our leaders at the back, I hope, next to the youngster that we've loaned in. Hopefully they can make a good partnership, but he is expected to be one of our best players, and I'd hope so with one of the biggest contracts in the squad. But I've improved a little bit more on our wing options by signing Charles Claydon, a 24-year-old Englishman who comes in expecting to be a star player for us, formerly of Charlton and Leyton Orient. He played last season at Boreham Wood in the division below and did pretty well. They've signed him for 20k, lost him for free, but if he's a 20k player, clearly there's something in there that we can hopefully get the best out of, and he comes in as probably one of our best on the left wing. So there's a lot of newcomers that I'm expecting to make a big impact on our first team already, and I think we've done a pretty good job in the transfer window. But if you're enjoying this rebuild and you'd like to continue it yourself, you can actually find the save files for this rebuild over on the Patreon, which I'll link in the description down below. Over there, to be honest, it's the best way to support me as a creator. You guys help pay for an editor, thumbnail designer, all of those things to try and make these videos better for you, so the money I make goes straight back in to helping the channel. And on there, you don't just get the rebuild files either. You get to watch the videos early, ad-free. We do polls to decide which rebuild you want to see next, and plenty of other stuff. So if you want to check it out, I massively appreciate it. And a big thank you to you guys that are already over there supporting me, because it helps me do things like this on more of a regular basis. I'm thinking this will be quite a fun rebuild, being a bit of a longer one as well. So if you want to get stuck in and try and do a better job than I do, that's where you're going to find the files. But let's get back to the team and let's take a look at our new best 11. And what I'm pretty happy with is, whilst in the squad we have let go of many of our players that were fringe players, we have managed to keep a lot of the core stars that really make up this Dorking team. In goal, we still have Norman, Abu and Strickland. The loanees are alongside Kelleher, who we've just brought in, and then Bobby Joe Taylor, who's been at the club for a while. Briggs, Carter and Pybus have one new addition next to them in the form of Clyden, and then we're expecting Shaq Pope to be our best striker alongside Rutherford. So there's big expectations for this team, really. We have brought in some good players. The board only want us to avoid relegation, so we want to make sure we please Mark White by doing that. But currently, we're predicted to finish in 14th place with 14-1 odds of winning the title. It's not exactly impossible that we might be able to get promoted straight away, and we're going to need to if we want to hit that 10-goal target of winning the Premier League. So the pressure's on, the timer's on. We need to make sure we have a good year this year to put us in a good place to hopefully make that Premier League goal. And I'll be honest, Season 2 has been a setback. I'll get into why in a second, but it really has been a mixed bag as Dorking manager this year. But let's start away from the league and focusing in on our FA Cup campaign, where this time we actually made it into the first round again, and we were up against the League 2 side in Wimbledon. But despite the gap in the league table, we went away to their stadium and played them off the park, managing to beat them 3-0 in a brilliant victory. And that set up a second round tie against League 1 side Charlton, 2 divisions higher than us, but we managed to go 1-0 up for a great strike early on. And just before the halftime whistle was blown, we were in dreamland as Bobby Joe Taylor found Carter on the edge of the area into Briggs to power it home for 2-0. Now, qualifying for the third round will be massive for us in terms of getting a Premier League side in the draw financially, but we conceded. But we managed to hold on to the lead until the 82nd minute, when a long ball forward from Charlton managed managed to get their player on the wing, he pulled it back, and then on the edge of the area, a great strike found the corner of the net to make it 2-2. And our dreams and hearts were broken late on, as in the 92nd minute, instead of it going our way, this time it didn't. Charlton were able to find the third goal, knock us out, and that was us out of the FA Cup. We had bottled really a 2-0 lead that could have brought us so much success. The third round of the FA Cup would have been huge financially, but it wasn't to be, and actually up until that point in the season, we had been winning literally every game in the league, but this started us on a terrible downturn, and we started losing everything. In February, we did not win a single game, getting blasted by Forest Green on the way. That poor form continued in March as well, as we drew 2 and lost the other 4. And really, we stumbled to the finish line, not having the best season at all, and we eventually lost all of our games in April, bar 1 as well. It weren't a great time. And it meant that eventually we finished in 15th place, which isn't exactly great. 63 points isn't terrible, mind you. 18 wins, 19 draws. We finished about where we were predicted to. We just looked so good in the early stages. Then after that FA Cup exit, we started to drift off a little bit. Still got some results, but after the start of a new year, it all went wrong. And I couldn't really place why. I thought it was a morale thing. But I checked out the team, and I realised something happened. Because Reddin, who we loaned in our best centre-back from, decided to pull the rug on us and recalled Michael Strickland halfway through the season, having started 26 games, so playing regularly for us, only to use him 4 times in League 2. Now, I think that was a little bit of a waste. He was doing so well for us, would have developed far more. He's a brilliant player, mind you, and clearly too good for us, but him being taken away from us meant our centre-back position was empty, and we just went on to concede loads and lose games from there. And the setback has been tough as well, because now we don't even have like a bunch of players that I can say, yeah, we can rely on them, because no one really shone in the division this year. I mean, Alfie Rutherford scored 19, but playing 40-odd games up front, I guess you might expect it. Charlie Carter did well from midfield, managing to score 11, but the best was probably Nico Valentine, who was our best performer, and the Jamaican managed to do really well, starting to fulfill his potential with 16 goals and 6 assists in the league as our best player. But really, we need more than this, and unfortunately, we're not exactly going to have the budget to be able to change things around in our third season. With £0 of transfer budget, near enough 2k in the wages, it's really not a lot. I'm not going to be able to do much with this at all, but somehow I'm going to have to try and make it work. Now, I might have had a limited budget in Season 3, but I actually feel like I've done a pretty good job with what we had. I managed to actually make a pretty decent sale for the size of the club Dorking is, and that's meant that we've been able to reinvest and build a better team, I think, for a title challenge this year. Let's start with that sale though. Charlie Claydon was a player that we bought in for free only last season, and he had interest straight away this summer as Wimbledon came in for him in the league above. I mean, if you remember, we beat them 3-0, so they had a good view of him, but he wasn't exactly exceptional last year, so to turn a free transfer into 120,000 was a big deal. That's a lot of money for a club like Dorking. I shifted it all into the wages and bought in a bunch of new free agents. Firstly, I did feel like we were lacking depth in the fringe players, so I brought in a few guys that are just going to play bit parts here and there if people get injured and whatnot. The first one is Theo Vassell, a 29-year-old English centre-back. And then Kenton Richardson, it's a very similar situation, just bring in some extra depth in that area for those emergencies. But at right back, we've managed to improve with the signing of 23-year-old Englishman Harvey Lintert, who is a very good fullback option for this level, formerly of Gillingham and Northampton. He went to the Irish leagues and has now came back, and he will be playing for Dorking next season. He's going to be vying for a starting place in that right back spot for us this year, and I think looks way better than what we had there previously. But he'll have competition from Jaden Camerson, who's a 19-year-old English right back who has way more potential and I think could be a star player for us way ahead in the future if we keep getting promoted. He's a former Manchester United player, so he's obviously had a good academy upbringing, and now at this stage, I mean, he's already good enough for our first team at 19. Who knows, maybe by the time he's 20, 21, we'll be looking at a championship level fullback maybe. If all goes well, it's big dreams, but it's a kind of player that could be sold on and make huge money in the future. I've bought in Devon Green as an extra option on the wide midfield areas where we were missing some depth last year. And then our other permanent signing was a player that rejected us last year but soon accepted the deal this time round. It's Paul Appiah, who started off as a free agent formerly of Chelsea, Villa and Leicester. He went to Port Vale in League 2, spent a season out on loan at Cambridge United in League 2 as well, never really got the game there, was let go on a free, and now we've finally been able to pick him up. For only £1,000 a week, this is a great player, especially for this level. He is going to be a great option at centre-back, and it's great that we've got him permanently because it means we don't have to worry about our players being recalled this time. And finally, I've bought in a loanee, a new gen player who has formed at Flyde. He's an 18-year-old wing option who won't do too much, but is just there to give us some cover. And here is a team that we are going with now for our third season and what will be the last season of this episode of the series. But one player I want to point out is our left back. He's been here for a long while actually. It's Jordan Norville-Williams and has been developing quite well. Now he doesn't look great here, but at the start of this save, he was someone that I didn't really think much of, but he started getting a bit of game time off the bench and is now probably going to be our starting left back with Bobby Joe Taylor having left at the end of last season. So he's going to get the chance. We're going to see what he can do. I did try and keep Bobby Joe Taylor, but he wanted to move on and he got a new deal on a free. And actually, a lot of the core players that you will know from the Dorking squad have now gone. This is pretty much a new look team. I mean, Charlie Carter's still here and Rutherford, but for how long these guys will be with us, who knows anymore. If we have a look at the season preview, the board again only want us to avoid a relegation battle, and the game thinks we have regressed slightly with an 18-1 odds chance of winning the title this time round. It's not expected we're going to do it, but I feel like our squad's in a better place, and if we can just keep everyone performing and everyone happy, we could maybe at least make a playoff place. And considering how we did last season, this year was a huge change in our fortunes. We were absolutely brilliant throughout the whole year, and as we got to the final months of the season, we were actually leading the table and had the chance to win the title for the only one automatic promotion spot in the league. We just had to win our last few games, and we'd have it. But unfortunately, in April, we hit a slump out of absolutely nowhere as we went on to lose 3-1 at home to Boreham Wood. We then got beat 3-0 by Solihull Moors, and in the next game, we lost 4-2 to Ebbsfleet. So we completely collapsed. Out of nowhere, we'd gone from winning the title to now being outside of the automatic promotion spots, and it meant we ended up falling into a playoff place as the season came to a close. A really big fall off, but we had to get this right to get promoted. Our opponents on the day were Yeovil Town, and after 9 minutes in the semi-final of the playoffs, we got off to a great start as Appiah found Fergus to put us 1-0 up. Yeovil, though, were in much better form than us as we went into the playoffs and managed to make it 1-1, and we're now in the ascendancy. But a penalty from Fergus later on allowed us to go 2-0 up, Valoni scoring again, before the 75th minute, where a great run from our left back allowed us to get a third as Moore headed home. And into the playoff final we went. The only issue is we were against the team that was meant to be the odds-on favourite to win the title this year in Forest Green. And in the final, we went 1-0 down after 5 minutes in a terrible start to the game. And as time ticked on into the second half, it looked like promotion was not going to be ours until the 54th minute, where Carter picked the ball up on the right wing, played it across, and our first season signing managed to score. And then it was 2 through youngster Goodyear scoring a brilliant goal later on. And I said at the start of season 1 we bought some players for the future. Goodyear was one of them, now scoring to take us into the proper league table, and then Shaq Pope got his second of the game, and that meant we won the playoff match and that our team, our Dorking side, was getting promoted to League 2, the 4th tier of the football pyramid. And now it's here where the real hard work is going to begin, as we have to sign the right players to start climbing to hopefully make that championship, then eventually push on to that Premier League place. And some of our players were excellent this season, really turning the form around from last year. But what I want to ask you guys in the comments down below is, who do you want me to keep? I'm going to choose one player to try and keep in this squad for when we win the Premier League. I want someone that's been here the whole way. Who it's going to be right now, I don't know. There have been some great performers. I mean, Charlie Carter was excellent with 17 goals. He might be the one. Age 30 though. Will he survive another 10 years of football? Maybe not. Jordan Norville-Williams was the player we picked out at left back as well. He was great with 19 assists from that fullback position. Really doing a great job. Paul Fergus Saloni as well, scoring 15 goals for us. He's someone we're going to try and pick up on a free now. He's not signing a new deal at Flyde, so we might be able to get in there and pick him up. And overall, there was lots of players performing for us. 13 from Shaq Pope, Rutherford with 14, who's starting to decline now, but still, we're working our way through. Our reputation still hasn't moved, nor have our club's facilities, but if we're talking an impossible rebuild, we're off to the start that we needed to hit. 3 seasons in, we're in League 2, that leaves 7 seasons now, not just to get to the Prem, but to win the whole thing. It's going to be tough, but I'll see you in the next episode where we'll try and make it happen.